Good morning. Welcome to AMHQ Weekend. It is Halloween, October the 31st. I'm Kait Parker alongside Reynolds Wolf, and now we have Dr. Greg Postel joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got millions of people that have been looking forward to today for the holiday, so to speak, but what a dangerous start to the day, too.
We have tornado warnings already in Texas. You guys have been covering it all morning, and the rain is going to continue its way across the south, so it's going to be a messy weekend.
Okay, so along with the flooding, we've also seen several...
We happen to see the red shaded with the green. That is the target today for the roughest weather, but we see the rain extend all the way into the Great Lakes, Kate.
Right, and so trick-or-treaters need rain slickers. Maybe you can dress as a firefighter, dress your kid as a firefighter, make sure they're covered up, have their galoshes as well. You don't need them in the Northeast, though. It's going to be perfect fall weather. Different out on the West Coast.
Absolutely, especially in the Pacific Northwest, where we do have a river flood warning that's going to be in effect. But high aloft, we're not talking raindrops. We're talking about some snowflakes. But rain really is the big story. In fact, Kate, parts of Central Texas coping with catastrophic
carb day. If you're carbing up for the marathon, getting that spaghetti, that pizza, just shove it all in. Great forecast for it, you know, for comfort food. It's chilly this morning. 43 in New York. Burlington only 28. Bangor, you're at 33 degrees. Clear skies, though. And as we go throughout the day, you're going to keep those clear skies. Very nice fall-like weather for the trick-or-treaters. You know, if the trick-or-treaters are going out in D.C., maybe a light jacket, or there, Boston, you might need something a little heavier. I know that it stinks. You have to put the costumes on top of the jacket for the kids, but that's just what you got to do because it is going to be a little bit too cool, perhaps, as we get a bit later. Now, in New York, you are going to see some clouds. I do think around the trick-or-treating time, it'll just add to the spookiness, right? The eeriness of the evening. Temperature is going to be in the 50s for you. Here's Boston. You'll be in the 40s by the time the trick-or-treaters are done and you're going through your kids' candy and trying to find all the Kit Kats. I know you. I see what you're up to. It should be pretty cloudy as the kids are heading to bed and hopefully exhausted and sleeping all the way through tomorrow. Here's what's happening in Boston, or what has happened in the past. The warmest ever was 81 degrees. We're not going to be anywhere near that, but we're also not going to be near the coldest that happened back in 1904. It was 27 degrees. And we're also not going to see any snow on this Halloween, so at least we're not breaking that record. Right, Boston?
Absolutely. Silver lining there. There you go.
West, we know that everything that's going on in Texas is dangerous and deadly. For you, it's more of an inconvenience a little farther to the north. Please take it easy today. If you're trying to get out the door, get those Saturday errands done, it's going to be swampy. Definitely going to see the rain. Heaviest making its way through Aurora right now and heading into Chicago. We did have some heavier rainfall through Madison, Wisconsin a little earlier on. That's starting to lighten up. It's this just widespread rain shield, however, that exists all the way from Minneapolis to Chicago. And as we go later in the day, it's going to continue its march off to the east. So that affects your Halloween plans, right? Let's talk about the timing of this because around 3 o'clock this afternoon, Chicago, you will likely still be contending with showers. That stretches down in St. Louis, but Kansas City, you're nice and clear. So in Kansas, you can go trick-or-treating, no problem there as far as rain goes. You need the rain jackets in Detroit, however, because by 7, 8 o'clock tonight, the showers move across Indiana and start actually heading into Cincinnati by later on this evening. You can see a couple of those showers. Michigan, you're also going to be getting wet, so just make sure that you have some rain jackets and maybe some galoshes for the kids. It will be a little bit on the wet side. Chicago, here's a look at your wettest ever. It was 1994, your wettest Halloween, 2.3 inches. Not going to be anywhere near there. Fortunately, mercifully, you're also not going to be anywhere near the coldest, 23 degrees. That record set back in 1873. You know, the good old days, if you kiddos remember that. Just a trace of snow in 1993, so at least we're not going to be sitting there. And this is what the forecast looks like. Again, showers later. I think you might get a break from them, from the rain. But it doesn't mean that the leaves won't still all be wet, Reynolds.
Absolutely.